for specifically this program, what I'm doing, so I'll just uncomment my whole entire toString F7. So there's my toString. And this is for my pod. So when I create the car pod, I'm going to be using this class, right? Because it says to create the car pod using the MyPod class. So what happens? I get an output and I put this in there, and then I say the songs it holds are, and then I'm going to try and print out the song library. This is how you read this. This part is the type of thing inside the array. This array holds song objects. So if you wanted to cycle through an array of integers, this would say int and whatever array name. So it's something and then the name of the array, because it's to extract everything in the array. It starts at the beginning and goes all the way to the end. And you don't have to tell it where to start and where to finish. So it's kind of nice that way. It figures out the size of the array and just takes everything out of it, or does something to everything in there. You read this like this. For each song in song library, do this. And that's what happens. So I'm gonna try and explain what this means. Temp song is, I can change that to anything. What really happens is the computer goes through this and it looks in the 0th, so like the first thing it does, it looks in the 0th location for song library, and it makes a copy. It makes a temporary copy of that, I guess in this case, song. So it takes whatever is in the 0th spot and it copies it into this temporary variable. Like this temporary variable is gone after this for each loop, sorry. So we have the array, and it takes the first element of the array and it stores it here. And then that's how you're able to do stuff with that thing. So you're extracting, you're not really changing anything inside, you're just pretty much going through and being able to use each thing. You're not really changing it. You're not changing anything in song library, you're just seeing it and being able to use it. So the first thing it does is it takes the first element in song library, puts it into temp song, and then does whatever you ask it to do. And you use temp song in order to use each element inside this array. So what happens here is I create an output, and it has this, and then I say plus equals. So I'm adding on to the output. You guys, hopefully you remember plus equals. It just takes the output, adds this to it, and then stores it back in output. So it kind of like adds something and then overwrites it. So what happens is it takes my toString from here, because it's a string. It's being converted to a string. It takes my toString from the song, because these are songs. So it's actually like this. I think is so cool. The driver here is accessing MyPod, which is accessing the toString here. So this is accessing the toString indirectly. And the toString says the song title, blah, 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 blah. So it says all that information. And this gets it because it's set up this way. I think that's really, really cool. But hopefully this is understandable. I'm going to try and make another video for it and just do stuff with regular arrays, like integer arrays, and show you what you can do. But here I'm taking the output, which has this in it already, and then I'm just taking the first element in song library and I'm putting it at the end of the output. And then I cycle around and go into the next element and I put that at the end of output. And I put a new line every time, otherwise it would just all be on the same line. So it says this stuff, and then it saves it into output, and then it goes to the next, and it goes to the first element in here, and what am I trying to say? It goes to the first element in here and adds whatever it says here, so that would be, not this, that would be song blank has rating of blank and price blank. That's what's in the first element, or that is the first element here. So it says this, and then it says that line for whatever song, Betrayed by the Game, and then it adds a new line, and then it continues and goes to the next song, which is here, and it uses the toString to print out this information. And it adds it, so it has this line, the first song, and then it adds the second song. And then lastly, it goes through and adds the third song. So I'm going to run this, hopefully run it. Let me try and uncomment these without screwing anything up. And then see what happens. Command Z. So already screwed it up. F7, not 7. And actually, no, I want this to be gone. I was playing around with using JOption Paint in there. So if you want to take a look at that, you can, but this is not part of it. No, undo. And then command. There we go. So that's not part of it. This I want to uncomment. And I think all of this stuff. Uncomment. Will it compile? Yep. Okay. So let's see if this works, and we'll see if the for each loop works. Close. So here's my driver. I created a car pod. I put in blue and 64, which means I'm using, for MyPod, I'm not using the zero argument. Whoops, that's not. I'm not using the zero argument constructor because I put 2 things in there. I'm actually not even using the 3 argument constructor because I only put 2 things in there. The number of arguments decides which constructor I'm using. And since I put 2 things in there, and they correspond to a string and an integer, then it's using this constructor. So I think that's pretty cool. And then, so let's see that. I use the 2 argument constructor by putting in 2 arguments, and then I print it out. So let's see if that works. And my toString for my song is a little bit weird. I probably would change this, but you'll see why in a minute. So we'll run that, and it says the color of MyPod is blue and has memory capacity of 64 gigabytes. The songs it holds are. And then here's my toString in the song class. So that's why I would change my toString in the song class. Because it says the song Betrayed by the Game has a rating of 5. I would probably just say Betrayed by the Game, rating 5, costs 99 cents. And I'd probably put a cents in there. And then it just goes through and prints out every one of my elements. I hope this was helpful in completing this thing. Later on for this, yeah, I'm not going to have time to go through this stuff. So, sorry. But I'll try to do this stuff over the weekend. So don't freak out about this. Don't worry about it right now. And I'll give it to you over the weekend. I kind of already gave you this, but hopefully it's helpful in understanding what we're talking about here. And I gave you that one already. Oh, I just gave you everything. Hopefully you tried it without looking, or you looked at it, tried to understand, and then do it on your own. That's, I think, the best thing that you could do. Like, you just go through it, make sure you understand it, and then put it away and try and do it on your own. And if you need help, then go back. All right, I'll see you guys Monday. Hopefully I'll be making a video this weekend for P10C. Adios.